Okay, so the next video I edited up last night, 13 minutes worth. Yeah, they're no masterpieces, but it showed you quite a lot of things that had happened and gone wrong. Then, in a masterstroke, while it was uploading to YouTube, it said it was uploaded and it was processing. So I deleted the main video file off the PC because I thought it was up and done, and it wasn't. And I've tried file recovery and everything, and no bueno. So it's all lost. So here is a recap of what happened. So it's looking grand now, because at the end of this video the engine will look like this. But initially what happened was we had the two valves that were bent in here. Yep. So this head here is off a Range Rover L322. So I got that block, leak tested it, came back fine. Bought the head gasket, 110 quid, and then £50 for the bolts, torque to yield, everything. Yeah, that'll come into play in a minute. And then I made sure everything was clean, got the gasket on, got the block on, put the bolts in. Now that's very important. I put the bolts in, and then I went through the process of going through the order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah blah blah. Torqued them up, then did the 80 degrees twice, and then when I finished that, all was good in the world. I then went over to the workbench over here, and I started tidying my tools up, and I had a couple of boxes there. And what I'd done is when I took the old head off, I turned it upside down, had a look at it and all the rest of it, and then shoved it over there in the corner. And then when I put my toolbox away, when I closed the lid, there were some of these sat on the top. There was quite a few of them, and I was like, it's when I took the head off with the bent valves, it's the washers for the head bolts. They dropped out, hadn't they? So I went over just to make sure, and when I turned it upside down, 4 of the washers fell out. So it was like, right, there should be 6 here. And when I went over here, there was 16. Oh yes, you know what I did. I forgot to put the washers on the fucking head bolts. So that was a complete waste of time. So off came the head again, off came the gasket, off came the bolts, and started from scratch. It was torque to yield, so they all had to go in the bin. So that was £178 later. The new ones came over a week later, and this time I remembered to put the washers on. That was an expensive mistake. Then I compression tested it. I was expecting 175, and what I got was 175, 130, 120, 100. And I was like, oh no, I wanted to cry at that point, because it was like, all that money wasted again, and there's something wrong. And then I was just like, for sanity, I'm going to test it again. 110, 90, 90. Hang on a second, that was 175 a few minutes ago. So I swapped the flexi hose from the compression tester for the stiff metal hose, put them on, and that is what the compression results were. So yes, 165, 160, get your finger out the way, 160, 170, so they're all within 15% of each other. So excellent. Head went back on, there's the fuel rail, powder coated, back on, and then I filled it up with 7.5 litres of oil, and then left it with some oil mats underneath it to see if it would leak. And lo and behold, not a single drip. So happy days, because it's notorious, this bloody some kit for leaking. But yeah, no leaks, so spot on. So everything's gone back on. I still need to do the accessories on the front. I need to order the right bolt for that and the right bracket for that one, and then obviously the belt. But yeah, so here is the rest of what happened that I still have the video for. Okay, so yet again, I've managed to forget to do an intro. So this video now we've actually got the engine sorted out, is going to be fitting the clutch, the pressure plate and the gearbox and getting all that sorted. So here we go again. So now that's that done, I need to get back, I can now fix the gearbox on, because if it was leaking, the engine would have to go back upside down again. So now I can take this, the gear tag box back off. I've already modified it to fit the starter motor to get it on in the first place. So the next part of call is to get the crank sensor put on. Which, yeah, the bracket, the brand new sensor has to be 0.55 away from the teeth of the flywheel. Speaking of which, now it's all not leaking, I can now put the new flywheel adapter on. The Sachs competition clutch and the pressure plate can now all go on. And then yeah, cut the gearbox to fit the bracket. Once that's done, and I've got to bring a feeler gauge in. Once that's done and it's washed up, use some washers on there, I think, to I don't know where you use the washers actually. Yeah, see what it ends up with the feeler gauge. Once that's all in, the gearbox can go permanently on then. Once the gearbox is permanently on, I'm going to cut the bodywork where that one goes. I'm going to take the exhaust on the other side, the header on the other side off for now, offer the motor up, and then we will fab up the mount for the gearbox. Fab the gearbox mount up, and I think then once that's done, I think I'm going to permanently leave the engine in at that point. And then attach the new gear stick adjuster and rig all that lot up. So then, yeah, then I think the engine should basically be permanently in at that point. Don't know if I'm going to put the loom in first, because I don't want to damage the loom putting it in. But it might be easier. Oh, no, I don't think it matters. I think there's only there's only the air sensors, the what do you call them? Yeah, the air sensors and the crank sensor cable going back under there, so I don't think that's a biggie. So yeah, I think the engine will be getting put back in soon. Okay, so the next step is to get our new flywheel onto the end of that. Yes or no, if I took the headers off, that would save me a lot of hassle. Can't be bothered for a few minutes. So here we are. Now time for the dual mass. No, now time for the adapter for the flywheel. Right, now I've got it mated up. I'm going to pop the bolts out, thread lock them, and then torque them up. Okay, the next step is to get the pressure plate and the clutch on. So, when I find my clutch alignment tool, which I had here a second ago, there it is. I don't know if this is going to be any good. It's 3D printed. Oh, well, slides on. That's so wrong. Would it go in there? Oh yes, there you go. So 3D printed is the way forward. Instead of buying the tool, just get somebody with an accurate 3D printer to do it. That was done on a Mars 5 UV printer. Actually, tell you what, before we do that, let's clean it. Right, I've torqued the bolts down to 104 Newton meters with Loctite on. Now get the clutch tool. I'm quite surprised actually how well that tool fits. Pop it on. There we go, that's aligned, apparently. So, which way does this go on? It looks to me like it's symmetrical, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Is it though? Is it though? You're gonna fit on there, yeah. You're gonna fit on there, yeah. And where's the pin for that one? Yeah, yeah. So that's it, yeah. That's where it goes, apparently. Okay, next is the crankshaft sensor. The crankshaft sensor is going to go here. Now I'm not sure which one it goes on, but I'm going to say there. It could be there, it could be there. That's the problem. Might have to have a look in the instructions, but don't know. They're the only threaded ones though. So if I do it there, I'm going to mark around with a marker pen where we need to cut it out. I don't suppose it matters, does it? If I cut both out. Right, so let's say I have to cut down there, cut there and around. Cut there and around there. Like that, yeah? Or I could put it there and cut both of them out. Does it really matter? Does it matter? Okay, so the next step is the crank sensor. The gap is supposed to be 0.55, so this is default settings, default bracket size. Nope. Right, 0.5 gets in. Yeah, so I'm going to double check that. I'm sure it was the Garage E30, Garage 36 lads that said it was 0.55. That's 0.5. So to be able to get a tiny little, look how thin that is. You can't even pick it up on the camera unless I turn it. So I'm going to double check now, because if 0.5 is good enough, then spot on, that's where it's going. Yeah, let's find out. Right, well, after a Google and a forum search, Google says 0.4 plus or minus 0.1, so 0.4, 0.5 or 0.3, that's 0.5, so that'll do. And then the other forums say 0.5 0.55, which I thought, plus or minus 0.2. So again, that falls into it, so that is perfect, so no modification required.